I'm ready. 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 I'm ready.
We're good? Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Calvin Sun, professional one-don AGA player. Today we have for you guys a game that was already played City League A in round 2 between Vancouver, BC and Denver. For the black player today, we have Bill Lin, who recently became a professional one-don, I believe, in 2024. And then white is Yan Jin. Not too familiar with him, but also a 6-star. So let's get started with the comments here. Okay. So I've played with Bill Lin, I would say more than a good handful of times before. Back in like 2013, 2014-ish. But as of recent years, he's definitely, I feel like, gotten a lot stronger. So we see with this shape, everything is looking quite normal. Right here, black can either choose to tanuki this situation with this. This is a very stable, very standard move as well. And we can see with AI, a lot of the Josekis, it's kind of hard to pull ahead with in the opening. Right here, though, I think one of the bigger points that I wanted to think about certain key at the opening. And one of them is the idea of a move that seems slow but might have more value to it than it looks. And I think right here is one of those situations where even though this is a big move, it's both creating your own territory as white and kind of breaking black's potential on the bottom. I think this move for both players is quite big. And the reason for that is quite simple. White wants to expand the top side with this move, and with that, it also renders black's group on the right a little bit weaker, as well as breaks black's potential in the center. And right here, if I were black, I would have maybe wanted to play something like this as well. And even if white hanes, then this can be a bigger variation, but I won't go into that too much. And if white extends back, then I think this is a good exchange for black. So overall, I'm being a little bit nitpicky, but not too many mistakes going on in the very beginning. Right here, this is a normal forcing move by white. But here I think this is definitely still bigger. And if black wants to play on this side, white can continue and kind of break black's territory on the right side. If black decides to, let's say, spend a move there, then white can continue there. I think in the real game, however, this variation that they played seems a little bit too good for black. And the reason I say that is this is a common variation to this Hane, right? Hane, white, has to make sure play on this side. So if white plays here, and white gets the corner, black makes Sente in breaking white's territory, and black can play a move like this to continue making his own territory. And I think in this particular situation, white's direction seems a little bit off. And why that is the moves here at A and B. These stones seem a little bit wasted. White's potential is not as big as black's, and if white continues to push like this, eventually you can kind of see that the side is much bigger than the center. And so it is a more difficult game for white, in my opinion. If white wanted to play in this area, I would suggest maybe just extending. If black spends another move, then you can play somewhere else. If black plays somewhere else, you can continue. Maybe even try to break black's territory. You can consider making your own territory. But this move kind of prevents black from the variation that was in the game. This, I'm not going to go into too much detail about. This variation is kind of forced for both sides. And so right here, I wanted to, again, reiterate what I was saying in the beginning about the concept of potential and moves that don't seem to be huge at face value. I think white right here could have played something like this. And although it does look like, it's a stone that floats in the center, if black plays something like this, white can choose to perhaps attack black's right side. And even though white's potential gets broken, I don't think this thickness of white's is best used as making territory. And I think, something along the lines of this on the right side, and black's group is not fully alive. It's still pretty uncomfortable. And the game goes on. If black chose to maybe spend a move there, if you wanted to come back, I would say this is a good exchange for white. Compared to the game where right here black gets this move. And this is a really painful, area for white. I would say that after these exchanges, it doesn't look pretty for white. The invasion on the right side maybe could have been a little bit lighter, but once again, I don't think any situation here is very good for white. And after black, this black makes white form a big dumpling shape and kills the center 4 stone, this game is pretty much, I would say, over. White doesn't have much territory. Black has a huge wall on this side here. And even thickness wise, White's group on the right side is not alive yet either. In fact, it's barely even settled. So I think after this, it's quite difficult for White to play. Now, Black creates a good kind of technique here where he pressurizes the bottom side to get a good thick. Then in the end, White kind of just collapses in the center. So overall, I would say this game is hard to... Well, first off, I want to say that Bill played very well this game. I also want to say that it's hard to gauge how strong White is from this one game alone, because there weren't too many blatant mistakes. I would say that the biggest mistake for White this game was probably not jumping out here first. But even this Hane, it feels natural. It doesn't feel like it's too big of a mistake. But that's kind of the issue of playing against strong players, is that one mistake that doesn't look too serious could be fatal. Right here, White may consider extending and marking the cut at this cut right here. And if Black wants to, I don't know, protect somewhere, then maybe White can choose to completely kill Black like this instead. A little bit more efficient, I would say, but it's hard to say. After this, though, it feels very difficult for White. The center is not completely captured yet. And even if White spends a move like this, Black could choose to respond. I think I would respond as Black, but there's still, a bunch of AGA in the center. So I think the main point of this game was that after this, it's kind of game over. But the main 2 points I would say is, one, the contention of this spot right here, and then 2 is just maybe not Haneing here and continuing to play in the center. This game is a little bit difficult to commentate on, one, because it's a very standard opening, I would say, and there wasn't a lot of fighting, and so both sides didn't make mistakes that were too big. It kind of reminds me of a boa constrictor kind of closing in on its prey and slowly strangulating the life out of White this game. And it feels bad to experience such a game, but I think White didn't have too many chances of fighting back. And so props to Bill on a fantastic game. And I think maybe White was a little bit flustered from the right side and didn't really think these variations through. But I don't know, I may have, if I were White, may have considered just extending and then seeing where Black goes. I mean, obviously it's kind of scary to do something like this, but I don't think white has too much of a choice after what transpires here. So good game by Bill. I think that wraps up this game. It is a pretty straightforward and pretty, I would say, streamlined game by Black. Black got an advantage in the center, got the thickness. Territory wise, he's also quite a bit better. And then just kind of utilizes White's thickness on the bottom to kill the center. So overall, quite succinct and well thought out game plan by Bill. I think that wraps it up for this game commentary. We have two games that we're going to go over as well in a little bit. I think we might. Okay. 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 Sounds good. I have Chris and Justin, talking to me in the background. We're gonna need a couple minutes to set up the next two games. It's going to be the round 3 between Brady. I'm sorry. Okay, we're going to go to board 3 with Brady and Nicole. So give us a few minutes to set that up, and then we'll be right back. Thank you. Was the audio working? straight in. Now, I don't know too much about both players. I know that Brady is a very strong player from Canada and has won quite a bit of tournaments as well. Nicole, I'm a little bit less familiar with. So, kind of similar to last game, Black chose to play a little bit quicker, and the idea behind this game is, or this move is, if White decides to attack directly, it's a little bit premature. And here you can kind of see how, even though White gets the side, Black can get quite a thick center. And so it's completely okay that White Tanuki's here. And nowadays you don't see the high approach too much, just because AI thinks that Black's corner is too solid in this variation. This was seen quite a bit in the past. Nowadays, White tends to low approach, but then this also brings up an issue where if Black plays something like this and you don't know the variation for this type of thing, it might be a little bit tricky as well. So I think Nicole just kind of wanted to make it simple in the very beginning and just try to develop their own territory here. I think when it comes to... Oh, yes. And if any of the viewers have any questions about the game or in general, you can type it in the chat and then we'll be able to relay it. Okay. And so in this situation, I think White may choose something like this. One is, if Black invades right now, White can try to attack Black, and it's not sure who's attacking who at this point. White can even choose to Tanuki and play somewhere else, and it's a little bit difficult for Black to completely attack those 3 stones. If Black chooses to play something like this, and this becomes this shape, this exchange feels generally okay for White. If something like this happens. And so I think this is more of a stylistic difference in moves. This is by any means not a bad move. It just allows Black to get the approach in Sente. I think everything right here is perfectly fine. This move seems a little bit, I would say, a little bit slow. The reason is, if Black plays here, White's forced to come back here, and Black's corner is already very thick. The side does not have a great deal of point value, and Black can choose to get another move. I think if White wanted to approach on the right side, maybe something like this would have been a little bit more... I would say this is a little bit quicker, a little bit, it has a little bit more emphasis on speed, and it's attacking Black's corner as well. So I think if Black wanted to play here, then this becomes a good shape for White. If Black wanted to play here, this brings up a couple of variations. One is Black continues to extend and White gets this. Black is thick and Black can play somewhere here. And the corner is always nice. A good gain for White in that situation. Black can also choose to play here, in which, this is something like this would happen, and this is another type of game. I think the variation here oh, I'm sorry. White can push here and something like this could happen. And this is also a variation. Black's corner still has the white can still jump into black's corner, and this is just a different type of game. I think this move was a little bit on the slower side, but not too big of an issue. In the game, Brady decided to play here. Brady's black, yep. Brady decided to play here, and this is quite a vital point. It is threatening white in the center or in the corner. If white chooses Tanuki, black can follow up with this, and if white kicks, this is quite a poor shape for white. And if white plays here, something like this means white's corner is not yet completely alive. And so, quite the strong move by Brady. Me personally, I would still play on the right side. And the idea behind this is, sure, you get a move here. And, I can maybe just choose to jump out. And say, well, you can't really attack me as white right now, and I got quite the big move on the right side. So in the game, this kick is solid. It's completely settling the corner, but I think coming back here is still quite a big spot for both sides. Now, if I were white and black played here, I would not play something like this. I would probably Tanuki, play somewhere on the left side maybe. And if black approaches, then and if I wanted to move that stone, I'll just jump out a little bit more lightly. The idea is just to kind of separate black's potential. And so black plays here right now, and this is I would say, definitely a post AlphaGo type of move. In the past, this is quite commonly played, and you don't see this very much nowadays. Nowadays, it's this pincer, this peep. White has a couple options. White can play here, and then right here, if white plays here right now, you can see how this exchange A and B is a gain for black, and so black can just choose to come back here. There's a couple different variations that I'll dive a little bit into. This is I would say, definitely a move that humans I would not expect to think about. And this is when black doesn't have the move on the fourth. Black doesn't have this move here. White can play here. And black's response is this move right here. And then white can play here. And then this is a different fighting game. Black plays here because it's a big move there, and then white will jump out here. And that leaves a bunch of variations to be explored, which I won't dive too deeply into, but just know that there's other variations to this type of game. In the game, this is played, and this also leads to quite, difficult, I would be very, very, very complicated variations I'm not too sure about the meaning behind this attach. I would say it's just a probing move. As white, though, I would consider just connecting. Um, sure, you're separating white. You get this part, but white's corner has gained tremendously, and white can just jump out. So I'm not sure about the timing behind this attachment. If say white plays here, then yes, I would say this is a win for black in this situation. Just because if black plays this first, it's white might try to counterattack. And so I get the idea behind this move. I don't know if it actually works. If white just plays here. And this seems like an okay variation for white. In the game, I believe Nicole played here and brings upon a cut by Brady. Now, I also have the real game pulled up, and Nicole played here. Okay, so it was like this. Hane, Atari, and here. I would say this is quite the game by black. Now let's go over what happened here. So let's consider some variations here. If white wanted to play this, I would say this is not something that I would like to read out, to be quite honest with you. But it's a little bit unclear as to what the situation is here. I would say because of this was originally white's territory, this is a gain for white, or for black. So I don't think this is an option. Now, how about this? Just connecting. Black does have the ladder right now, but white can choose to play here as well, and try to break black's potential on the left side. If black chooses to take, white can take, and I would say this is not bad for white. If black chooses to play here, to kind of get that, if white plays here and black plays here now, this is definitely a good variation for black. But I don't think black will be able to get that. And so I think this move was a little bit hasty. White cannot do this because this is a disaster. Black gets the whole corner. White's outside is still not thick. And so the game is good. This turn is quite painful for white. If white wants to do this, black can Hane, and maybe even Atari here. Black gets forcing moves on this side because of the attachment. Forcing moves right here in the future. White did not gain very much, and black has gotten quite the big potential on the outside. So I think that's why Nicole decided to kind of sack the 2 stones, thinking, well, it's a little bit of a loss for me, but because of this ladder, perhaps I can do some sort of ladder breaker in the future. This is a very keen move by Brady. White can't take here right now because of the Satari. So connecting allows black to play here and to get the 2 stones there. Now, I would say if 99 times out of 100, I would choose black here. Maybe I would say 100 times out of 100, I would prefer black here. I always leave one time for the uncertain, but I would think about 100 out of 100 times black is better here. Mm-hmm. This sequence right here. I would say it's very painful. I would say if I were white, I would decide just to capture this. The meaning behind this is kind of twofold. One is if I play somewhere out, if I decided to do a ladder breaker right now, black has a good way of kind of counterattacking that ladder break on the bottom side. And so if I played this right now and let's say black plays somewhere else, now it's a little bit harder for black to respond by attacking white. And black probably maybe has to play something like this. So it does make the ladder breaker a little bit more severe. Secondly, it's quite a big move. It completely settles white's bottom shape and prevents any shenanigans, I would say, along this area in the future. And so I think right now white needs to cut the losses and just kind of play solidly. Let's see what happens in the game. White decided to play here. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this move. It's what was that, Chris? A submarine move? I think okay. One is if black just decides to play on the outside, right? And sure, white can get the corner quite well, but black gets all that thickness. Now there's no apparent ladder breaker that I can see that is severe. You got the corner, but black is super thick on everywhere. This is a move that I would say is not aiming to create a counterattack with a ladder break, just because it allows black to get the outside. If I wanted to, something like this, and I'm not reading the ladder right now, but I think that is not enough for the ladder break, so maybe I'll play another move. But something along the lines of utilizing, making the most out of the loss in the bottom left side, I would say is quite important. In the move, this was played, and Brady played here, and then Nicole played here. I would say this is a big move. It's not a small move. Is it the biggest move during this point of the game? I'm not too sure. But I would not fault that move. And Brady decides to cut here. We're almost caught up to the game state, and I'll just play out the rest of the games here. Okay, so we're gonna wrap up pretty soon right here. It looks like a difficult shape for White to get out of. White is cut on multiple areas, so are we going to move to game 1 or board 1? Okay. We're going to stop this game review around this area. We're going to pull up board 1 between the Vancouver and Denver. So give us a few, and we'll be right back. I'm good. Okay. Sounds good. All right. Welcome back. So for the next game, we have board 1 between Henry Yu, 2 Dan professional from Canada, and Bowen Zhang, 7 Dan. And yes, and if y'all have any questions or comments, feel free to post them in the chat, and we'll be able to relay it to us. So let's go into this game here. We have Henry versus Bowen. Now, I haven't had the pleasure of playing either of these two players before, but I've heard many things about them, and they're definitely very strong. This opening is, I would say, something that I hesitate to comment on very much because the variations for this push cut are numerous, to say the least. Now I can go over a couple right here. Let's just go over what was played in the game, and we can gauge on what's proper here. I would say Black's normal move is to play here right now, and White can play here, and this brings some Josekis like this. And now Black can either play here, Black can play here, and this is the extent that I'll go into for this. Black, this is also I would say it's an okay move for Black. This is the proper way, but this is less seen as well. I would say usually this is something that happens. Black plays here, White can either choose to play here, and this is an exchange. Black gets the right side. Obviously, White can, do some shenanigans there in the future with moves like this. It's shenanigans is when I am at a loss for with the limited vocab that I have, and so it is a word that means anything that you kind of want it to mean. And it's a good filler word, I think, for a lot of situations that happen in Go. Right here, Black played this. White Hanes, which is definitely interesting. I would say Black... If Black Hanes here, White can probably choose to do this, and this is not something that I would play if I were not familiar with the situation. So Black played here in the game, and this move makes total sense as well. I think both players in this situation, if I were playing as either player in this situation, I would be thinking to myself, I don't want to lose this early in the beginning. And I think it's quite possible that one wrong move in this situation and it's toast. So for all my newer players out there, I would say don't spend the time to learn these variations. Take it easy in the beginning. Play your 3-3s and 4-4s, and don't die in the first 50 moves. Yes. It's one of my biggest fears in Go is to finish the game when my tea isn't even cooled. Right here, I would say both players probably know what they're doing a little bit more than I do. And So let's just evaluate how this situation looks. I would say this move is a little bit iffy. This is definitely a good move by white. It's allowing some eye shape on the bottom. I would maybe play here. And the reason for that is I'm not seeing a good way for white to move out. If white plays here, black, I would not Hane here, but maybe something like this. And black successfully captures the two stones. White does have, forcing moves on the outside in the future. And white can maybe choose to play somewhere on the right side. I would say this is maybe 50-50 for both sides. But I do like white. White gets the turn and on the fifth line. That's very big. This opens up the potential on the bottom. And white gets good settlement on the right side. So maybe that's why black didn't want to play something that easy, I would say. Let's look at the game. I'm not certain about this move. It just feels, I don't understand. I'm not understanding the idea behind this attachment. And the reason why is even getting this, white is quite comfortable settling there. I would maybe just extend back one more and save it for the future. If white wants to spend a move there, sure. White can push first. If white wants to spend a move there, that's totally fine. Black gets the outside anyway and doesn't have to spend a bunch of moves there. I'm trying to see if there is a better way to counterattack for white. Probably not. I would say this is comfortable for both sides. Now, I think taking this might be a little bit hasty. And if I were white in this situation, I would think, is there a better way to fix? Or is it big enough that I take it right here? Now, if I am able to get this one, perhaps, just kind of in exchange right here before taking, I would say this is a good exchange. So maybe trying to find a forcing move that allows an easier invasion on the top side. I would say I'm nitpicking at this point. This is still very comfortable for white. I would say white is leading in this situation right here. Is this what happened? Oh, this is what happened in the game. Right. And both white moves out, black gets the bottom. White decides not to continue playing on the bottom side because white's scared that black will continue his moyo on the upper side. And I agree with that. What I don't agree with is I'm not sure moving out is too important in this situation. I think white is alive on the quite alive on the bottom already. It is big, but I wonder if moving out is as good as just living on the bottom side. I think the reason why white did not want black to completely surround is that the bottom side still feels like black can get good forcing moves there. But I'm not seeing a lot of potential for any points in the center. Anyway, I think I would disagree. I feel like this move is still quite the big move, and if black plays here, sure, we try to do something to invade the center. White has moves like this. This peep is quite severe as well, and so while this is a big move, allowing black to one, settle on the left side, and two, settle on the bottom side, all the while attacking white's two groups, it feels a little bit difficult for white, in my opinion. Now, what happened here? Okay, so black obviously doesn't want to play here because white can save the corner. That's why black decided to invade the corner. But I think right here, black could choose to maybe extend instead of Atari. Extending, white will probably Hane or press once, then press again. This way, black does get the left side, and white gets some spare points. White does settle, but black has gained a lot in territory. If white wanted to play here, then playing this would be beneficial because it's the same as if black played here and white played here instead of protecting this way. Right here, black's knight's move is very transparent. He wants to cut both white groups, and it's aiming at white's weakness in the middle, where white's not alive yet. But here, does this Hane work? Atari. I have to take, and then because white can still live on the bottom, and if black chooses to attack, white can still jump out as well. It's very difficult for black to attack both groups. And so my question is, why did black do this? If attacking white is difficult, why not just kind of separate white this way? And black might be afraid that this is a very strong move here. And I agree it is. it's kind of hard to say what the accurate move is here. Playing this might be too slow. White protects that kite in Sente. But even if white does something like this, I'm not sure if black is unhappy with this variation. If white decides to jump here to, black's push is also very, very painful. And if white decides to pincer, black can maybe try to jump out this way. So I think in the game, if this happened, white decided this is not good enough because black can still move out on the left side. And so white decided to capture in the highest efficiency possible. And we'll go a little bit into what happened in the game. I think the review cuts there, but I will play a couple more of the moves they played. Wow. Okay. A lot transpired in the last 20 moves. So let's kind of go over that in detail. I would say this move is so as white, ideally I would want to play something like this to protect the left side. With this, however, black always has this push cut. And so moves like this become Sente for black. And if moves like this become Sente, then white's bottom side is dead. Straight dead. And so that's the idea behind this, is that one, it protects the push cut, and two, it's saying, hey, I have a way to move out in the future. Like this, however, this feels really uncomfortable for white. If black gets a successful squeeze here, by just if black gets, let's just say black gets like something like this, I would say this is a win for black because the bottom corner is quite massive. And so my thing is, if white is afraid of all of that, why not play something that's, I would say, a little bit less risky? This also, but white can get this. You know what? White can just take. I feel like the take is fine. This allows this peep to be more severe in the future. If white wanted to live, white can play here. White's still alive in the middle part, and white gets Sente. White can still decide to attack black's left spot. It's too late to be calculating this stuff. I would say if I were white though, just don't even try to. This squeezes by black is very, very good. I think what white wanted here was black to play here. White can get this in Sente and then come back to this, where white breaks some of black's points before allowing the squeeze on the 3 stones. But this wedge here is very strong. Black has gained quite a bit through this. And even here, black can get these forcing moves on the top side as well, if black chooses to do so in the future, or something like this. And now what did white really get here? 10, 15, 17 points? I don't think that's enough. This seems like a very big win for black, I would say. I would say this is quite difficult for white to play now. It's a little bit difficult to count in this situation, so I'm going to play a couple more moves that they played, and we'll do a quick evaluation of what's going on. Oh, okay. The fighting doesn't stop though, so okay, let's just say black lives in the corner. No one dies. We're counting strictly territory in this situation. It's quite apparent, I think, who's ahead. White maybe has 10, 20, 21 points on the left side. Maybe capturing these stones makes it 25, 26. Broken territory at the top side. Kind of hard to tell. Maybe I would say 10 points, 15 points for the rest of the board. 40 points plus or minus with Comey. Black has, this is black's in the future. White can't connect here even. White has to do this. But we'll just say it's bottom side 22, 25, 5 points, 30, 31. And black has quite a bit of potential on the upper right side. I think if no one dies, black is definitely in the driver's seat for this game. That being said, how can something not die? So black plays here. If black played here, I think it's a little bit scary for black on the upper side. Also, this move is aiming at the bottom. So I think white has to spend a move there to be safe. If white wants to move out, it's a little bit difficult to move out without helping black as well. And if this exchange is made, black comes back to something along the lines of this. I think this is an easy game for black. What a game. I think main takeaway points from what's going on so far. One, if you're not 100% to play this, don't play it in a real tournament game. Play it in for fun games like on online, but unless you are certain that you're not going to die in these situations. Two, I think everything that went on around here, I think that overall this is okay for white. Even though black did get quite a bit of forcing moves in the middle, white has good solid territory. Black only has a potential. Black's territory is a little bit lackluster. However, I think this move is quite big. Even if black plays here, there's ways to invade black that white can do. And it aims at moves like this. After this part, I think this was a pretty successful squeeze by black, and I'm not sure white kind of expected that of a shortage of liberties. I think white may have expected to have a little bit more liberties than in the actual game. I think if everything goes accordingly, this is an easy game for Henry. Let's see. This happened in the game, and black played here. Black's saying, well, it's going to spend cost you a couple moves to kill the corner. There's, black can always move out, and so I'm going to kill you instead. If white plays something like that, and black gets the Hane there, it's quite difficult for white to live. And so white can play here, but if that happens, black can even maybe choose to continue jumping. And white, I don't see a situation where white lives comfortably. Maybe 2 eyes, sure, maybe, but that also helps black solidify his own territory, Definitely a very, very bloody game. But I think through all the blood and fighting, black's play was a little bit more level-headed and kind of focused on higher quality moves, making the most territory, squeezing white so that the quality of white's moves are not making as much territory. If you look at this situation, starting from the early game, all of white's moves are kind of dominating. Sure, white did successfully kill black on the left side, but compared to black's moves, which are all on the outside, black has the influence there. Black successfully broke white. This was originally white's corner, while making territory in the meantime. And I think that's kind of a bigger difference between, I would say, those players at the upper echelon, the higher, maybe the pros or the higher amateurs, versus mid to high amateurs, is that through all of this fighting, they have an idea of what's going on in the game. And they're not trying, their goal isn't to kill. Their goal is to pull ahead and comfortably win. And I think Henry did quite a good job in this game, just doing just that. Let's see, anything else for this game? Well, Okay, sure. Okay. I okay. 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 I got some instructions that we're going to kind of stop this game right here, and we're going to move back to board 3 between Brady and Nicole. Um, I'm going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with that game setup. We're good? Okay. Welcome back. Um, s- this is board 3 of the PandaNet City League, A League, between Brady Zhang and Nicole Chen, I believe. Um, we have this is the what the current game state looks like. And I've got to say, this is not looking fantastic for white. As putting it in the nicest of terms, I would say this is getting close to the end of the game. There's some shenanigans for sure, I would say. And let's see how these shenanigans transpired. Last time we saw this game, we were at this turn state at the bottom. And I had already said, well, I left the review saying, well, it's not looking too good for white. And that's kind of reiterating what I said previously. I think this is a big move in the sense that, one, it's making white's own space thicker, and it's aiming at the moving out those two stones. If white, Mhm. Justin didn't like this move right here. Oh, just Justin didn't say that. I don't know who to believe. Ah, I think we're at a consensus. What probably adding a move is more or less of a consensus. Um, and so Black decided to cross cut immediately. Mm, yeah, it's not looking too hot for white. I'm sure there's a better way of fixing than what happened. Um, maybe even just kind of pulling back here. If Black does this, but this is also, I would say this is also not not comfortable. If it all comes down to just kind of white pulling back, minimizing the losses on the bottom side, and just kind of playing somewhere else, so be it. But I think if white wanted to play the moves that she decided to play in the game, she better have read out this whole variation. And I don't think I'm not going to make any assumptions, but I'm thinking that this was not the variation she wanted to see. Here, I would say even like a cut here could be a possibility. If the latter doesn't work, white's forced to play, I don't know, something like this. Black can get this Atari, get this on the bottom. And this is still looking quite dire for white. But Brady, I feel like Brady's saying, I have enough. I killed the whole bottom group. White's thickness in the middle doesn't have a lot of places to go. And I like the spirit of this move. It's saying, hey, these two stones are not big enough to save. I have a thickness in the center that I traded for the bottom stones dying. I need to make something happen. So I'm going to play this. And I think Brady just has some type of infatuation with this move. It's not a bad move, I would say, but is it good? Eh, I would maybe play something like this, and just jumping out naturally in the center. Maybe pushing ones here. Black has enough territory that he doesn't need to do anything too risky. Developing your own, potential in the meantime, while also kind of destroying whites, and this should be a pretty straightforward game from there. This is definitely strong. I would say if white has already considered that the bottom is not worth saving, maybe just don't save it at all. I know that if this were to happen, it would be a little bit too big to sacrifice. But I'm wondering if... Uh-huh. Yeah, White's wall is... I would say it's not the best place to have a thickness. But because it's the sunk cost fallacy, right? Well, we've already lost so much. It's there's no turning back. I was there's no turning back. Maybe white can play here and just kind of exchange that. But then black can connect here and black. So the Miai here is also painful, A and B. If white extends, black has this Hane, and this is quite painful as well. So I think overall it's quite difficult for white to move in any direction. Perhaps something like this is a possibility where, let's say, and I don't even know if this is good because black gets the center anyway. But white needs to think of a way to surround those stones. At this point, though, it seems quite difficult. This peep, ideally, black connects, and then you can get something going on the right side, but Brady's very, very keen. It feels like the center 3 stones are not big enough. Now white gets the center, but black gets the side, black gets the bottom already. Black has a lot of potential to make territory in the upper side as well, whereas white's territory is very confined, and white is still weak. And this, I believe, was where we left off. Yeah, I feel like black could have played here if he wanted to as well, and just taken the corner. Maybe black was afraid of something like this. where white gets to jump out. And so this is not bad, but let's play a couple more moves here. White played here, black plays here. White still has to defend. Black plays here, white plays here. I'll do a count right now. Yes. So black gets, let's say, it's true. It's hard to see where black will get into trouble at this point. Uh-huh. Oh, absolutely. Let's do a quick a score estimate here. So white's maybe 15, 20, so 5 points there, 20, 20, 32, 42, 46. Black has 25, 35, 45, 48. This, I would say, 5 points, 53, 63, 65, 48 to 65. I would say 65 plus, because black's only going to make more and more, whereas white doesn't have that potential. So on the board, let's say 70 versus was it 50, 45 plus Comey. 15 points at this level. 15 points is, I would say, almost insurmountable. And so realistically, after what happened in the bottom up to this point, it's a very hard game for Brady to lose. And just kind of one fatal mistake on the bottom side was. So the more that I look at it, the more that I like this move. It just prevents everything that happened towards the end. And I think this game is going to go on for a little bit more, but not much suspense. At the bottom side here, you can see how all of black's moves are gaining points, right? The corner is thick. Black gets this one here. Black gets this, attempting to separate white while also making territory for himself. Whereas white's moves are, sure, they have point value, but their point value isn't in the sense of making own points. It's all about breaking black's points. So, Huh? Yeah, that sounds good. Um, yeah. Okay, sounds good. Um, so we're going to wrap up with board three. If nothing surprising happens, I feel like this game is in the bag for black. We're going to move back to board one, where it looks like there's some exciting things going on with Co's some shenanigans, right? Which is what I like to see. So give us a few. We're going to bring up board one back and kind of wrap up that game as well. I'm going to. All right, we're back with Board 1 of the Pananet AGA City League between black is Henry Yu, 2-dan professional, and white is Bowen Zhang, 7-dan. This is the current game state, and it looks like it's probably going to end in the next 10 to 20 moves or so. I feel like white is pretty shattered everywhere. Black doesn't have too many weaknesses anymore. And let's see how we got here to this point. White's doomed. There's no chances anymore for white. But let's see how we got there anyway. Right here, I think this is where black jumps as expected, and right now black's just going for the kill. There's no point in prolonging the game anymore. Like this, white can probably live. Black's still probably going to be ahead. Can connect here, get this stone here, and white's still a little bit, definitely more than a little bit behind, but Henry wants to finish it with a bang, and so white is looking quite dead here. No eye shape, black is thick everywhere. The only way out is somewhere in this direction, but even still, it's not looking too great. This move looks fancy. Let's see what it does. Not too much, I would say. This is a good peep. If white connects here, black just moves out. And this... Yes, definitely. I think black's thickness was used to the utmost potential. There's only... is... Even this ko, it's not a ko that black needs to win. It's a fake ko, and if white can't capture these stones, this ko doesn't matter. Even if white connects here, it's quite a bit, quite a few empty triangles. And like this, white wants to play here, but black can Atari from the backside. And so black is thick everywhere. Did they finish the game? Okay. Yeah, it wasn't looking too great. This... Sure, I'll just kind of play the rest of the moves they played. And at this point, Bowen Zhang resigned, and black Henry Yu won by resignation. The end state doesn't look pretty, but I would say that white was kind of forced into this position. Just because territory-wise, white was not winning at all. And so I think, the fighting spirit by white is good. If I'm going to lose anyway, I'm going to try to make some things happen. But black's just overall thickness everywhere kind of didn't allow white to do anything in the center. And with some very keen calculations, I think white didn't have much of a chance to live in the center. Black is just so thick everywhere. And I think the main issue with this game was that left side. White played pretty well throughout the early game with the bottom right variation, and even though it wasn't like a major lead, I think White was comfortable with how this happened on the right side. But as the game progressed, it gets more and more apparent that Black's moves have more efficiency than White's moves. And that came to bite White in the end. So that wraps up this game. I think it was a valiant effort by Bowen, but Henry kind of prevailed in the end. I wouldn't say it's to be expected, but I would say Henry definitely has a little bit more experience with these types of bloody games. So, okay. So when was it? March 8th of March between. Okay. Second weekend of March. Okay. So the next stream and match of the City League will be in the second weekend of March. Do we have a specific date? 8th or 9th? 8th or 9th. Watch the journal for any updates on that. It'll be between New York City and Boston. So a battle of the East Coast teams, and with New York obviously having won the City League multiple times. Yeah. Follow the e-journal for more updated news on that. Is that the Manhattan one? Okay. So and that's next weekend. We'll be back with coverage of the New York City Open. New York. Okay. New York Institute of Go some championship with a field of over 120. That's crazy. Yep. And Justin will be going as well, so good luck to him in that field. But we will be back in the next couple of weekends with more exciting coverage, and thanks for watching, everyone.